Badaboom podcast. This is Troy.
And this is Chris.
And today we are talking about the boys. And the boys that only cause trouble, don't really seem to fix too many problems. It's the boys on Amazon Prime. We've been anticipating this third season, and the first 3 episodes are out. And they're just doing more of the same stuff that we love, causing trouble. Surprisingly, not killing too many people, though. Maybe got a new leaf they've turned over a little bit in this season.
I don't think so. There's enough people that die, the boys aren't killing them, but
some things never change.
Some things never do change. It's been great. And also it's good to get the boys back together because this is the first episode in a little bit that me and Troy have actually gotten to record. So
that's true.
We've been this and you're like, wait a minute, like this seems oddly familiar. So, of course, The Boys is one of our favorite shows. So it's great to be back for The Boys, but it's also to be back with my boy.
Hey, same, man. And speaking of boys being back, this entire season, the first episode of the season, I was expecting, the crew's going to be all together and they're going to be strong and doing stuff, working together, Huey and the government and everyone else kind of like on the streets doing stuff. But the team is really kind of splintered. They're all like left and Huey's kind of telling Butcher what to do, like big power dynamic shift.
I like that. At the end of last season, obviously, like, it wasn't a win. It almost seemed like it was like a draw where everyone kind of came together and was like, hey, we're going to kill each other. So we're just going to walk away, all of us. And this is an interesting time because, it's said in the first episode, it's like, hey, this is peacetime. But in the reality, no, it's not. There's still Soups, behaving badly, still killing people. They may be getting some PR wins, but, the same things are still going on.
Yeah, that first Soup kind of death was like, man, 15 minutes in and nothing's changed at all. But I'm hoping we see some more stuff. That's so bad of me to be like, we saw a guy literally kind of like explode from the inside. And we're like, let's have some more of that. That's fun. It's kind of bad to say.
Yeah. In that first episode, there's a couple of people that blow up. And there's one person that blows up like 3 different times because the person that blows them up in pieces. It's like, oh, there's your hand. Oh, there's your mouth. Oh, there's your body.
Yeah.
So that guy got blown up 3 times.
Kind of late, but let's throw that nice spoiler alert going up on this episode because as you've learned, people do blow up in this first episode. And I think I know you haven't seen all the second 2 episodes, but after people blow up, that's when stuff gets pretty serious. And they're like, hey, we realize the people we've been trying to trust are actually not who they say they are. And it brings
surprise is the boys. Everyone, especially the government, is not people you want to trust.
Yeah. Is the 24-hour V in the first episode? I can't remember.
Yeah, that's when it's like introduced. It isn't used yet, so I haven't seen that. I do like, we talked about this in the expectation videos. Like, I do like where they're setting up everyone, where they're placing people, because in the trailers, like, obviously, like, one thing I was like worried about was like, all right, if Billy's going to be taking this 24-hour compound V, what would that look like? What place would he need to be in to take it? Because the reality is, like, to me, I felt like, oh my God, that means like the show is kind of running its course if we're already getting to the part where he's using this. And watching that first episode, I was like, oh, this seems like a natural progression of the character. When Maeve shows up to his door and you realize like, oh, she's his source. And that's why he's able to, capture some of these Soups doing bad. And then she gives them those 3 vials, which was weird, though. I was like, where did she get them? And I don't know if you've seen that already, but it kind of came out of nowhere because you're like, wait. She wasn't even in the same room. Like, where did she get this? Is someone giving it to her? But going back to where these characters are, and then that was another thing that I liked at the end of the episode, where at the end of last season, I was like, I don't see him coming back. He's got his family.
Yeah.
Like, why would he leave that? And, the way this episode is set up is like, wait, his family's not exactly together. And also, he may have some personal connection to a character we're going to see later on in the series, which I'm sure you've already seen.
Yeah, they do. They show, I really like how they do MM's character because, like, they kind of show that he's not all about like the vengeance kind of aspect. Like it kind of seems like a little psychological, like he has these little ticks that kind of build as he gets deeper and deeper into the superhero kind of hunting stuff. So it seems a little psychological. And I thought that was a unique way of kind of relating it to some people and sometimes the trauma that they go through, because they show that, or they don't show, but they tell that Soldier Boy killed MM's family. And that's why when Butcher's like, yeah, I'm going after Soldier Boy, he's like, all right, I'm back. I'm all in. And there's some things that they're like kind of reveal later on where the head of the CI person, Grace Mallory, knew a whole bunch of stuff about Soldier Boy the entire time and never told anybody about it. And everyone's pissed at her. But it's...
Wait. Someone in the government you can't trust.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Wow.
Whoa,
and it gets even crazier because they're like, oh yeah, Mallory and Soldier Boy are tied to pouring cocaine into minority neighborhoods in the 80s. I'm like, oh yeah, this sounds about right. So,
yeah.
But yeah, MM is great in it. I really like how Huey kind of he's not in it as much, but he does get some decent character development and is kind of slowly becoming a little bit more like Butcher. But Frenchie and Kimiko also have some great development through it so far too, in just 3 episodes.
Yeah, for Huey, for him, these past 2 seasons have kind of been all about him, in terms of like going from that guy whose girlfriend was killed right in front of his eyes to a government official that's on the red carpet with her killer. A-Train, that was one of my favorite scenes in the first episode, seeing A-Train kind of like go up to him and be like, look at us, man.
Who would have thought?
Look at how far we've got. Who would have thought? Me and you, yeah. And as Kimiko and Frenchie, what's cool about them too is they feel like in this world of like, where everyone's like not really well adjusted, crazy, they seem like the most normal out of the group, where they have this sweet relationship. And I'm excited to see the next 2 episodes to see where that goes. They're in the field, we're talking about the characters and stuff, but the boys, kind of like what has separated it from other superhero properties is just how ridiculous it is. And I think those first 15 minutes kind of set the tone of like, oh, this is exactly why we watch the boys. You have a character named Termite who's like the Ant-Man of this universe, and you're like, oh my God, they're about to do the Thanos thing.
Yeah.
And you think this is going to happen, and it's much more gruesome. And I don't want to spoil it because it's one of those things you have to see, and you're just going to be like, I don't think they can't do that. They can't. No. And then it happens, and you're like, oh my
when
God.
It starts happening, I'm like, okay, how's this gonna go down? And then I was like, what yeah, it'll be interesting to see how more off the rails this show goes in all the right ways, because first 15 minutes in, it's already still crazy.
And when I was watching the beginning, it made me kind of like finally settle in like kind of what this show is. It's like it almost feels like a Tropic Thunder for superheroes, where you're like all these people are kind of crazy and they're in like weird situations, and all the like pop culture references, whether it be, the Dawn of Seven released the Borg cut. Spoiler alert for cool cameo, Charlize Theron, who seems to have the best agent in the world and is in everything, whether it be this, Doctor Strange, the last few Fast movies, you're like, does this woman get a day off? She plays the fictional version of Stormfront, which was cool. And there's some like little references to, whether it be the Deep being kind of like this Scientology-like survivor. The PR person telling the director like, oh, Tony Gilroy reshot like most of this movie, which is kind of like a reference to like Rogue One, which had a bunch of reshoots that so there's like little things in it where you're like,
oh, I thought they were trying to be like, oh yeah, this is a Justice League thing.
Yeah, no, it's a bit of both. So that's why the show is so good. It has all these like little digs, and yeah, you know, with the things we've been talking about, it has some really cool character moments, and I think that's what separates it from just a show that's just shock and awe. Because you know, if it was just that, I would have turned it off after the first 15 minutes and been like, I got what I needed out of this.
Yeah. I am really excited for the next couple episodes. I know you haven't seen them, but just like a brief kind of what it could come possibly. Butcher takes the 24-hour V. It kind of makes him sick, but he gets the powers. But Ryan, Butcher, Homelander's son, can tell there's something different with Butcher. And Butcher gets kind of pissed off and yells at Ryan, and Ryan almost laser visions him. But he takes the necklace and he throws it on the ground and says, I hate you. And Butcher's like, oh, I put all this aggression out there towards you to create space to protect you, but you're not going to see that. And so hopefully we get some resolution with that later on, because Butcher's relationship with him is really sweet. And it's really nice to see Butcher like have that character development. Pretty much they find out that there's a weapon that the Russians have that took Soldier Boy down. And so they're trying to get to Russia, and Frenchie has a connection through his history of drugs to get them potentially to Russia. Yeah. That's where they kind of leave it. At the end of episode 3 is they're trying to get to Russia. Kimiko is trying to think of maybe leaving the team because she doesn't like her powers and she doesn't want to be like destroying other people's childhood with trying to hunt superheroes. But and MM is back on the team full force. So yeah, and Huey's back. Huey's like, yeah, I don't think I can't do the government stuff anymore. We got to be full on.
I saw that. Well, like I didn't see that, but you know, with the end of episode 1, you're like, wow, Billy was right.
He's so committed to being on Billy's side now to cover up not going to work. He tells Kimiko to break his arm. And Kimiko just goes like, psh, and it's like, oh, it's.
And if it makes you feel any better, you didn't spoil that for me, because actually on either Instagram or Twitter, Jack Quaid, he posted like a behind the scenes video of you know, him and then Kimiko's actress, like Karen Fukuhara. She broke his arm, but they were like playing with like the rubberness of it because he was like wearing like a prosthetic arm, so you see it kind of like bending, like almost like a noodle. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And Jensen Ackles is, you know, for lack of a better word, just an asshole. So it's going to be fun to see how his character is going to play into it in the future. If he's going to be on their side, if he's just going to be on Homelander's side or what. But it's going to be more nonsense, more mayhem. If you haven't seen Diabolical, they do have some good references to it in The Boys. They go to a orphanage of kids that have superpowers. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is kind of what lines up in Diabolical. So there'll be some fun laughs here and there from Diabolical that will reference in The Boys if you haven't seen it yet.
There's a question. I didn't see it in the first episode, but do they at all set up that kind of like that spin-off they've been wanting to do where it's like the high school of heroes?
Kind of. So they talk a little bit about Starlight's time and the like youth church and stuff. And one of the people that's auditioning for the 7 is someone that had a huge crush on her, and like they had like a previous relationship in high school.
Yeah, so, that was in the first episode too. I think he was like supersonic or something like that.
Yeah, they dive deeper into it in the next 2-3 episodes, and Supersonic joins the 7, even though Starlight tells him not to. But he's like, hey, look, you're the only person doing the right thing on the 7. You need someone that could, you know, watch your back. Mm-hmm. So it's just going to be even crazier. I'd love it if they dropped 3 episodes every Friday for the next 2-3 weeks, but it's going to be episode by episode. So going to be more suspense, going to be more talks, going to be more of those. Oh my gosh, did you see this? More reaction posts coming up.
Yeah, and to keep up with that, please follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And as you're already listening, please subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also on Anchor. It's great to be back with Troy. You know, we haven't recorded an episode in a little bit, almost feels like years. But thank you guys for listening. And with that, bada boom.
Bada boom.